اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين، سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد. Dear Mu'mineen and Mu'minat, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jumu'ah Mubarakah upon everyone. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this a blessed day for all of us, a day of reflection, a day of purification and return to Him, inshaAllah. This Friday marks the last day of the month of the Hijjah, and as the sun sets, it'll be the first night of the month of Muharram, the month in which Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim ajma'een, especially after the martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, would start the month with grief and mourning and remembrance of the martyrdom and the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his family members and his companions. I say especially after him because he was remembered before his martyrdom, and the narration of his sacrifice on the day of Ashura on the land of Karbala started from early on, from the creation of Adam ala nabina wa alayhi salam, and when he was taught the names, to the times of other prophets, until we read also in the Bible, in the Injil, of the great sacrifice that happened in the faraway land. And some of our researchers and scholars have done extensive work on bringing out the references to Karbala and to the martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the honorable son or grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in different scriptures and texts, including in the books of hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. However, obviously after his martyrdom, after the day of Ashura on the year 61, it became a more distinct culture of Ahlul Bayt salawatullah wa salamu alayhim ajma'een, a tradition that when the month of Muharram would begin, they would be in a different mood. They would change completely. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam narrates from his father and what he witnessed from his father. Imam Rida alayhi salam narrates from his father, Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam. And we have numerous narrations that they would narrate and confirm that they would not see their father, who was in the position of the Imam and teacher that they learned from, they would not see them even smiling or laughing when the month of Muharram began. La yura dahikan, in the hadith we are told. I urge mu'mineen and mu'minat to remember that it is not a matter of being rude or being dry with other people, especially with children. You know, I have witnessed this, and I have reminded mu'mineen and mu'minat, especially on the day of Ashura, because there are numerous narratives and narrations about how we should not be involved in any worldly activities. We should not be in a happy mood or laughing and so on. So some take it to the extreme that they don't even want to say salam to one another, or don't want to shake each other's hands, or they would not even smile at a child, for example. And I would say this is unlike Ahlul Bayt, salawatullah wa salamu alayhim ajma'in themselves. They would not be take it to that extreme. Their grief was there, their pain was there, but their Islamic ethics and mannerisms were also according to the traditions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As we approach the month of Muharram, I want to give some perhaps reminders and advice to my dear brothers and sisters, mu'mineen and mu'minat, in terms of how do we benefit and take the most advantage of the night of the month of Muharram. This is another spiritual station for mu'mineen and mu'minat, the lovers of Ahlul Bayt, where they come back, and I often refer to it as coming back to school. It is coming back to the school of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So we come back to the school of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and we learn, we start revisiting our principles, our our theology and Islamic beliefs, as well as some of the traditions and some of the activities, acts of worship and so on. Reminders. It's a school to learn and also be reminded of what we learned, however may have not put into practice yet, so that we are reminded to start putting that into practice. This is the school of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. How do we benefit the most from this, say, 10-day for some it's the whole 2 months of Muharram and Safar. Depends on how often you attend majalis and how often you sit and listen to majalis, whether it be at home or in any Islamic center. How can we make these days of majalis for Imam Hussein alayhi salam most effective for ourselves? How can we take the most benefit? This is important for us to reflect, because a majlis where we come and go and we have not changed at all has not given us any benefits. That's a fact. Believe it or not, even salat, a majlis is a recommended act. You agree? To going to the majalis is a recommended act. It is not a wajib act. Our wajib, daily, obligatory daily salat, if it is not with the presence of the heart and it does not somehow change us to the better, it is not accepted and not beneficial. In the hadith, we are told that we will not get the rewards of prayers if we do not pay attention, if we don't understand and comprehend. إِلَّا مَا وَعَى, except what you actually understand, you comprehend, you're attentive to. So majalis that don't change us and don't give us any benefits in terms of our journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and purification are not effective, therefore useless, I would say. Now, I would correct myself and say that it is impossible for the majlis not to give any effects at all. Okay, so it will have some effect, and that is why it is important to attend the majalis. That is why it is important to bring everyone in the family, even the children, because it will have effect on them as well. So the question is, how can I maximize the benefits rather than taking the minimal effect of the majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, of the commemorations of the month of Muharram and Safar? How can I maximize the benefits and take the most advantage of this course, these days of back to the school of Imam Hussein alayhi salam? The first, and there are a few points that I will share with mu'mineen and mu'minat, and I'll keep it brief inshallah. The first reminder is that It is all about faith. Imam Hussein alayhi salam sacrificed for the sake of faith, for the sake of the core of the religion, for the sake of the principles. The number one is Tawheed, monotheism. Nubuwwah, believing in the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believing in the final messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The day of judgment, our belief, especially the school of Ahlul Bayt, in the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, or in the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, including His justice, because it has been always debated and it has been a subject of controversy. In fact, what is the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How do we define it? How do we understand it, explain it, and so on? So these are the core principles of our faith. These have to be revisited in the nights of the month of Muharram. Somehow we need to revisit those principles and strengthen our faith, that we don't have any doubts. The school of Ahlul Bayt is the strongest in its theology. The followers and the members of the school of Ahlul Bayt are typically the strongest when it comes to debate, because of the school of Ashura, because of the school of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Let's make it even better and stronger, where our presence is with a goal, with a mission. We are present in the majalis with a mission. What is it? To strengthen our faith and understanding of our faith, of our core principles of our faith. Even if it means demanding or requesting respectfully from speakers that please shed some light into, for example, Tawheed. I want to benefit and strengthen my faith and understand better the concept of monotheism. Strengthen or shed some light on Nubuwwah or on Imamah. Let us make sure we are strong enough that even if the best philosophers and scholars of our time come to debate us, we have the answer and we are strong, that our faith is not shaken. Let us not take things, especially when it comes to Aqeedah, to our faith and theology, let us not accept things blindly and think that's okay. That is not okay. When it comes to Aqeedah, we need to have a good understanding, a strong understanding, and the stronger it is, the better or the higher our faith is. That is why Quran often refers to the level of certainty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about yaqeen in the Holy Quran oftentimes, and the different levels of yaqeen, different levels of certainty. The Imams of Ahlul Bayt also speak about that. Nabiullah Ibrahim ala nabina wa alayhi salam, he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a sight of the resurrection of the dead. He says why? Because he wants his certainty to get to the highest possible level. لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي, where his heart is in the highest level of peace with his faith and with his understanding of the faith. And this should be our goal. Therefore, attend the majalis with that goal in mind, that I want to strengthen my faith. If I have doubts in the fact that God is a sustainer, an example, if I have doubts practically in the fact that God is the sustainer, let us make sure that I address that in the majalis, even if that means I send a message or a request or a face-to-face request to the speaker or the scholars who are attending and or delivering the majalis, and asking them to shed some light on this very issue. For example, another example, I have doubts in the fact that God answers prayers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, and I'm not saying I have doubts, I'm saying that as an example. Inshallah, we remove these doubts, all of us remove these doubts. Let us say somebody has doubts that God answers prayers. He says in the Quran, Ud'uni astajib lakum, call upon me, I answer you. Yet some mu'mineen say, well, I call and nothing happens. Is it something to do with the way I'm saying it, or is it something to do with a recipe, a special recipe that I have to say? God does not wait for open sesame. It doesn't work like that. We don't need a specific recipe that I have to say it in this very specific way for Him to hear it and answer me. No, it's about our hearts. So let us make sure that we address that, and we never have doubts in the fact that God answers dua. If you have doubts, go to your speaker, to the scholar, and address those in this month of Muharram. Make sure you strengthen your faith during the majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That's the most important thing. The Imam sacrificed for the sake of the strengthening of our faith, strengthening of the faith, or in fact reforming the faith of the believers, so that it's not a shallow faith that I'm called a Muslim, I do everything that is sinful and every activity that is unacceptable, I oppress others, I usurp the rights of others, and I call myself a Muslim. The Imam says, no, this is not religion. I see the religion of my grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam going down the wrong direction. I see leaders who are drunken, who are oppressive, who are living lavish life where others are struggling, and yet they call themselves the leader of the Muslim Ummah. I will say no to them, and the Imam had to rise and to sacrifice so that we change and we recognize truth from falsehood, good from bad, and we follow the good. Let us make sure that our presence in the majalis is with a mission, with a goal, and that is to strengthen our faith. One other point, inshallah, I'll share. Inshallah, I won't keep mu'mineen and mu'minat long, and that is regarding the way we take the message. And even if that requires the way we strengthen our faith, even if that requires again demanding or requesting respectfully or messaging or emailing speakers, that we start purifying the manabir of Imam Hussein alayhi salam from all sorts of fiction, all sorts of fake stories, or perhaps dreams. This is not how we strengthen our faith. This is not how faith is strengthened. This is not how we build our principles, and this is not how we share the message of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Though sometimes stories and some dreams may be simply entertaining, but let's not make the majlis of Imam Hussein an entertainment. Let us not look for impressive speeches and entertaining speeches. Let us look for speeches that address our issues. When you go to the pharmacy, you ask for medicine. You don't ask them for the most good-looking medicine, the one that has the best picture on the package. You don't ask for the most impressive medicine in terms of even taste. You look for the medicine that cures your problem. If you have a problem, you know it, you go to the doctor, the physician, or the pharmacist to get the medicine for your problem, for your issue, for your disease. Let us make sure that we cure our diseased hearts, and we purify ourselves from ill habits in the month of Muharram, in the majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and look for their medicine, even if it means requesting some perhaps special advice from speakers and so on. Let us turn these majalis into majalis of strengthening our faith and betterment of our practice as believers, as mu'mineen and mu'minat. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us attend the school of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and better ourselves through the school of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu as-salihati wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. Sadaqallahu al-aliyyul azim. أعوذ بالله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد المصطفى وعلى علي المرتضى وفاطمة الزهراء وخديجة الكبرى والحسن المجتبى والحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن الحسين زين العابدين ومحمد بن علي الباقر وجعفر بن محمد الصادق وموسى بن جعفر الكاظم وعلي بن موسى الرضا ومحمد بن علي التقي وعلي بن محمد النقي والحسن بن علي العسكري والحجة القائم المهدي الإمام المنتظر صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. اللهم وال من والاهم وعاد من عاداهم وانصر من نصرهم واخذل من خذلهم والعن من ظلمهم. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات تابع اللهم بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم صل على عباد الله اتقوا الله وتزودوا فإن خير الزاد التقوى واتقوا الله لعلكم تفلحون. Dear mu'mineen and mu'minat, brothers and sisters, once again assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this second sermon I remind myself and my brothers and sisters of the provision of taqwa. Usikum wa nafsi bi taqwa Allah, to increase in all sorts of good deeds solely and sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make sure that we're conscious of our duty to Him in all acts, in all our actions and reactions, in all our statements, in everything that we do or say, and that is taqwa. Inshallah, we increase in that. As I mentioned, today marking the last day of the month of Dhul Hijjah, it is, according to some narrations, the last day of the Islamic calendar, and tomorrow marks the beginning of the new calendar. Although there are narrations that suggest the month of Ramadan is the beginning, or the Eid al-Fitr is the beginning of the new year, or it could be different new years from different perspectives. And one of them is the counting of the year, which is in fact the month of Muharram. That's where they change basically the year and they count the new year. In any case, there is a dua and an act. I mentioned that it is very important to participate in majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and I urge mu'mineen and mu'minat to have discipline in the majalis, and part of the discipline is to make sure you go with istighfar, seek forgiveness and go to the majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Just like it's recommended to seek forgiveness from God and from people if you have any accounts with people, and then you go and perform your prayers, your salat. Similarly, seek forgiveness and go to the majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It is recommended to go on wudu to the majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. One of the acts that will help us enter the month of Muharram pure and seek forgiveness from God for the entire year, very simple yet very powerful act of worship. There's 2 rak'ah salat with Surah Al-Hamd once and Surah Qul Huwa Allah 10 times in each rak'ah, and after the salat a short dua. I will share the dua with mu'mineen and mu'minat, and inshallah those who have the opportunity to pray the salat, it would be also very important and beneficial. This dua is very powerful and very helpful inshallah for purification, to enter the year all pure. The dua is the following: Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma ma amiltum fi hadhihi as-sanati min amalin nahaytani an. Ya Allah, whatever I did in this year that you had told me not to, you had advised us not to, وَلَمْ تَرْضَهُ وَنَسِيتُهُ وَلَمْ تَنْسَهُ, you were not pleased with it, I forgot it, you never forget anything. وَدَعَوْتَنِي إِلَى التَّوْبَةِ بَعْدَ you have invited me to seeking forgiveness and to tawbah, to return to you بعد اجترائي, after I have committed and dared to disobey you. عليك اللهم فإني أستغفرك منه فاغفر لي. Oh Allah, I seek your forgiveness from that, therefore you forgive me. وما عملت من عمل يقربني إليك فاقبله مني. Whatever I did that helps me get closer to you, accept it from me, Ya Allah. ولا تقطع رجائي منك يا كريم. Do not make me ever lose hope in you, O the most generous one. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us and allow us to enter this month of Muharram while forgiven, to reap the most benefits from the month of Muharram and the majalis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We ask him to make us amongst those who listen to what's said and follow what's best. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.